I always worry about, the athletes when I was coaching. I was always worried about like, okay, hey, do you have a plan after college?
You're right.
What's your plan?
That's a big one.
Because it's scary. The mental health of it, you go from, we had athletes going from knowing what they were going to do at 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. basically. And then they don't have anybody telling them what to do anymore.
Yeah.
And then they just feel lost. Like I had so many conversations. What do you do every day in jiu-jitsu? You probably have to tap. You have to figure out, why did I mess up that move? You fail every day. So I think, people don't know how to fail too often. And if you know how to fail, then you can build from that. You can grow, you can learn, you can get better. You can accept it better,
Yeah.
So I think
I like that one.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is, you get the opportunity to do jiu-jitsu basically every day of your life, maybe except Sundays, but like for the most part, you get to do jiu-jitsu 6 times a week. Like, why are you going to hold on to everything that you do wrong?
Exactly.
In like a negative way versus looking at it as like, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to sit to my butt whenever maybe we're in a transition or something. Like I'm going to try to get on top. Once you find like your red line and you push through that red line, I think competition just becomes easy. And I get to that red line a lot. An ounce of hesitancy is what's probably going to keep you from maybe getting the choke or maybe finishing something or maybe getting taken down, So it's just like, how do you bridge the gap between both of these, practice and the actual competition? Well, it's making them almost the same.
I noticed, like an Instagram stalker,
Oh, right.
you've been running through the competition. I mean, we go to the same gym, so, I've heard and I've talked to you, and damn, like it's one after another. What was the most recent one? Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take it back a little bit. Because I also saw a post before we get there. Like you started, it seems like really reaming the competition and during like Naga, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I had like I did have a match in Naga, and then I got like the cool little belt, but I only had an absolute. I think it was like one match, and it was but yeah, got the belt. Will got the belt. We had a few belts. We kind of made a joke about that's what started strap season for Syndicate. Yeah. So,
Nice.
I'm not saying I'm a trend starter, but I might be.
Hey man, I could see it. You got that like star power in your eyes.
I love that.
So do you think that's where it trickled down from there? From then on, do you think, like I said, you've been running through the competition. Do you think that's really where you got the confidence to just like I said, start pretty much killing it or having the confidence to do well in competitions?
Yeah, honestly, I just think like the biggest thing is to jump into it. I felt like I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 4 years now. And I just I didn't compete as much as I should. My parents are in my ear. Everybody's in your ear. Why don't you compete? Why don't you compete? And it's like the hardest part is just going to it. So I think that was kind of like the starting point. And then I was like, okay, cool. Well, last year in 23, my first and only tournament was Worlds. So I was like,
wow,
okay, let's not be stupid here. Let's maybe get in a tournament or two before we do Worlds again. So I was like, well, crap, the next tournament is, it's PANS. And I have family in Dallas, and then my family's close. Being from Louisiana, it's about a 5-hour drive. So I was like, oh, well, heck, 2 birds, 1 stone, right? So I get to see my family and I'm going to go compete. So then you compete, and then it's just like, it's a trickle effect. You have your people in your corner. And I don't know, the coolest thing about Syndicate, Shapiro Brothers, is like I've seen Shane and Jerry win and I've seen them lose.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. It's like they're just so proud of you for going. And so like whenever I see my coach win, see my coach lose, and he's still the same person and still like my biggest fan, like, I don't know, you just don't lose that way.
Yeah, especially that that they've been through the ringer time and time again. Yeah. And that's probably, and not probably, but then they had to do it time and time again. So they're kind of used to that feeling of like, okay, on to the next one. This ain't really shit. You know what I mean? It's just about, it's not even about like the Naga belts or the medals. It's just about growing and learning. Yeah. So I think they set a very, very good example, which is our main jiu-jitsu coach. Thank goodness.
Thank God it's him, not us.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to you before this podcast, and like before we get into the other competitions, I think the thing about you, obviously I've rolled with you before, and not to like, blow smoke up anyone's ass, but then you're just like one of those athletic girls. And what I mean by that is that, okay, I can say that it's like, yeah, she's just a beast on the mats and she's just killing it. But there's something to that. I think, like what we were talking about, you played sports throughout high school. Was it, can you tell me a little bit about that? I'll let you talk about it. When did that start? Is it like junior high? Did you start playing sports when you were a kid?
Oh yeah. I started when I was about old enough to carry a bat in my hand. So my family, we're all sports people. So my two older brothers, I have three brothers and a sister, but my two closest brothers, they played basketball, football, baseball, and I just wanted to be like them. So I grew up at the ballpark. So I started playing softball when I was 5 and then just grew from there. In college though, or in high school, I should say first, I played volleyball and softball. That was my sports. And then I got a scholarship to play D1 at McNeese State. It's just a smaller college where I'm from. So got to be a local girl.
Wow, nice.
And then I did play pro ball. So I got to play pro softball in Italy. So I played for my team out there. And then I got to play a few years here in the States.
Really? How long was that? Were you in Italy for?
I was about 4-5 months in Fort Lee. Shout out. I love them. They're super special to me. And I actually ended my career with them as well. So I got to go play a few championship tournaments over there while I got to coach actually at UNLV too. So I'm a through and through softball player. Yeah. And I got to play, I was pitcher, outfield, first base, and I hit. So I tried to do anything to get me on the field. That's what I wanted to do, period. So that's what I got to do.
Was it a big culture shock for you when you went down there? Was it like super different, or was it like, all right, we're just here to play like softball, so it doesn't really matter?
So my college we're in the best way, it was very strict, but it kept me in line. And I think that's what I didn't know that I needed. You complain at the time, you're like, oh my God, like coach is such a turd. Sorry, yeah. And I'll still call him a turd to his face today. I love my coaches, but they were just like, very strict, but I needed it. You don't think you need it at that age, but you're like, because you think you know better, right? So strict, very time like oriented when it comes to, be here this time, you got to do this, X, Y, Z. So when I get there, the very first practice we go to, it's like a 7 p.m. practice, and I'm jet lagged, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, let's go, we'll figure it out. They're like still smoking cigarettes while they're putting their shoes on, and I was like, wait, why are you smoking cigarettes before practice? So they're smoking cigarettes before practice. Yeah. They're talking back to the coaches. They're walking off the field, but they're just having so much fun. And I think I had that opportunity just to just embrace it and just be like, oh, this isn't, they didn't make it bigger than what it was. It was still competition. We're still trying to win, period. That's no question. But it was just like, they had so much fun and just made fun of each other the entire time. So it was literally the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I just always will encourage people to go overseas if they have that opportunity, because it's not like the States, not in a bad way, but it literally changed my mind on everything.
Yeah. It's almost like a culture shock. They just do things a lot different.
Oh yeah.
And that's with every aspect, and not just sports, right? Yeah. Like for example, if you go to Thailand, people are smoking cigarettes and drunk fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
people, you see
what?
That. Yeah. And then, you come over here, of course, as an athlete, especially if you're doing it professionally, I mean, you have to take it seriously.
Oh yeah.
But there's something to that. I think because now we're kind of measuring VO2 max and like the best performance base.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, oh, whatever happened to like having fun, which kind of relates. I mean, I'm going to go off topic a little bit here, but then I think that's what really fucks people up on their later stages after they kind of retire. Because they put their all into whatever they have, and considering that they have kids to feed and, say for a UFC fight, I was talking to Jordan Levitt. It's almost like I asked them, here's an example. I asked them that, it's about the same thing. It's like, so is it different now since you have like 2 kids? And he was saying that there's more at stake, because between a loss, it's $50,000, and now you have to take it more seriously because, you got a kid in the way. And I'm like, damn, right? Yeah. So what you did, I'm sure for a lot of people, what you did, and I'm sure they're still having fun with it.
Yeah.
But then, damn, like the transition to that of life just in general is like,
oh yeah,
it's pretty gnarly.
That's what I feel so very so thankful that I got to kind of continue my career after softball, college softball at least. So I retired when I was 26. And so usually it's, 4 years after college. And it's just like, I had that time to I was coaching at UNLV, but I had time to kind of transition into, okay, I'm a coach and a softball player versus just being that softball player that I always was. So I got a little bit of that, okay, this is real life. Softball slowly coming out, it's kind of making its way out of your life. But then, Will and I, we found Syndicate, and it's like that, it gave us that purpose again of like, okay, we still get to compete. We've always competed our entire lives. Thank God we found something that like still kind of gives us that like drive to, do something versus just, the weight room wasn't doing it for me. I needed something more. So I don't know. I always worry about, the athletes when I was coaching. I was always worried about like, okay, hey, do you have a plan after college?
You're right.
What's your plan?
That's
like,
a big one.
Because it's scary. The mental health of it. You go from, we had athletes going from knowing what they were going to do at 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. basically. And then they don't have anybody telling them what to do anymore.
Yeah.
And then they just feel lost. Like I had so many conversations, God, getting goosebumps because I remember the conversations that I had with some of those girls, and it was just like, babe, you got to figure it out now, Just think about it. Don't get overwhelmed with it, but at least think about it,
Even the thought about just uncertainty as a human is just a scary, scary thought. It's been your identity. So where do you go from here, right? It's kind of like, well, probably doesn't, I don't know, compares a little bit. It's like getting out of prison. It's like, for a long time, or the military.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, that's all you know.
Structure.
Structure, exactly. Yeah, structure makes the world go round for sure. But so speaking of which, why and how did you decide to get into Jiu-Jitsu?
Oh, okay. So it's so fun. So Will and I, we actually went down to Louisiana for, I think it was like Thanksgiving or Christmas. I can't really remember. I think it was Thanksgiving. But my niece, she was 5 years old in a pink little gi. And her mom was like, hey, come check out gi class or Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, okay, what the heck is this? So I go and watch her, and she's just running around in her little pink gi. And I actually knew her Jiu-Jitsu coach from like pre-K. Hadn't seen this guy since like high school, but I've known him since pre-K. Yeah. And Tyler, sorry for doing this to you, but he was a chubby little kid, had glasses, just like I always call him, he was like a little nerd. But then like seeing him as a jiu-jitsu coach and like the professionalism that he like was given to the kids, but also to the adults, I was like, oh wait, I can't kick his butt anymore. What the heck?
Yeah, he's completely different.
Yeah. He's like he looks like almost like a Jerry 2.0, maybe like a little taller, but like a smaller guy, right? Yeah. So it was just like, wait, what? Right. But no, so we jumped into class after my niece, and then I was like, Will and I were like, we have to find the closest gym to us immediately as soon as we get back to Vegas. Yeah. Syndicate was the closest gym to us, and then we walked in that day, and I remember Jerry just like ran up to Will and I and was like, come on, like you're welcome here. This is going to be your new home. Let's go. And then haven't looked back. It was our one and only gym that we've been to. And
that was the first time you guys met Jerry?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this dude's our jiu-jitsu coach.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
What's so funny?
It's so funny.
It's so funny because see, I had to ask Jerry that when he was on here because he told me that, he was talking a little bit about John Wood, how like, say if you met John Wood, right? He's a bigger guy, he's has the ears, and it's kind of like, you'd be scared of him, right? Yeah. Because he's taller and he's a little bit bulkier. Of course. And then you'll see Jerry. He has, I mean, for me, it looks pretty intimidating with like the tattoos and stuff, and the ears and stuff. Yeah. But then, I asked Jerry, I was like, hey, is that really like how you sense it when you first meet people? Is that they're kind of just not maybe so much looking down on you, but it's like, this guy's gonna teach me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like
honestly,
I'm like, and he says, yeah, I feel it all the time. I'm like, oh wow, because I guess it's subjective to me, but I probably wouldn't have thought that. Like when I met Jerry, I already knew that this guy could fucking whoop my ass.
Yeah, I think I was.
I'm a smaller guy too.
Yeah,
so
I just think I was like ignorant because like I'm a bigger girl. Like I've always been a bigger girl in my entire life. And then like Will's not a big,
you're like the athlete body type.
Yeah. Like I just feel like I've just, I'm meaty, I'm in the heavy division, which breaks my heart. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the, I like to say I'm in the thick division. It makes me feel better about myself.
I like it, man. That's
and then Will,
exactly accurate.
He's a big guy too. So it's like you walk in and like, you just see this guy who's smaller than you, and in your head you're like, wait, this guy's gonna beat me up, and they're like teach me things and stuff. It's not the first impression that I wanted, but it's just, and then we roll, and I'm like, wait, why are you 1,000% stronger than me? Why do you
Yeah.
feel like you weigh 800 pounds? What are you doing? What's this voodoo that you're doing to me? And it's just like, it was honestly, it was like something hard for me to swallow for a while. Cause I was like, why are you beating me up?
Yeah.
You know, I'm so much bigger than you. Why are you beating me up? But like Jerry says, like jiu-jitsu is for the small guy. And it's just so true. So cool. But like, I was just so frustrated for so long, but I get it now, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's how a lot of people market it because, yeah, of course, it has a lot of truth to it. But think about this, right? Like, yeah, it's for the smaller guy. But if I had, like, you're the very example of it. You and Will. It's almost like if you had some guy or girl that had your guys' body type and they knew how to do jiu-jitsu with the technique you guys had. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's not the small guy kind of like sport. It's like, dude, that's you're completely fucked if you're that athletic, if you know you have a body type on you, you're coordinated and you've been training for years. It's like, come on, dude. Like, that's just a freak athlete at that point, right? Like that's
I mean, I like to think so, but you know, I want to stay like humble about it. But like even Will, like
it's true. I mean, again, I'm not. I don't try to blow smoke up anyone's ass for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason, like you're here because it's like, oh, there's. Sorry to cut you off on that one,
No,
but
you're
then
good.
we talked about it again before on the podcast before we started recording. And there's just something about like high school athletes or people that played sports when coming up. There, it's the coordination. It's all of it. It's strength. They probably had the muscle memory of weight training. That's a part of it, right? Like you have to hit the weight room, and all those years, it's kind of like being breaded as a fighter when you're 5 years old. It's just something different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh crap, like. Okay, there's a difference between getting trained at 5 years old and being trained at 16 years old.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know? It's
yeah,
just-
couldn't agree more.
yeah. And if you started softball, say, even at an early age, like 17, 18, even that's later, but then like 16 or something compared to someone growing up playing the sport and then getting into like collegiate sports, it's like, yeah, it's night and day. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, I was just going to talk about Will because I like to do that. No, I was just saying like with Will, he is a big guy, but he's so limber. He's like flexible. It's so annoying rolling with him because you're like, you're a 250-pound man. Why do you flow that well?
He's flow. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
It's
flowy,
just like so annoying. But to go off of what you said, like, I just think too, those sports growing up taught me how to fail. And I think, what do you do every day in jiu-jitsu? You probably have to tap. You have to figure out, why did I mess up that move? You fail every day. So I think, you know, people don't know how to fail too often. And if you know how to fail, then you can build from that. You can grow, you can learn, you can get better. You can accept it better, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
I like that one.
Yeah. So
especially that one.
It's just like, I don't know, the sports, you know, every time I threw a ball down the middle and it got ripped, I learned how to fail, right? So it's just like those sports taught me how to fail. And I think that's something that has been I don't know, it's important. You know, like think about it. Like these kids, you know, they have perfect records, they have perfect whatever. And it's like, okay, well, what's your emotional intelligence look like whenever you don't do that as well as you thought, you know? Especially nowadays, you know, kids, I don't think know how to like really
process.
you know, so it's sad. But no, I think it's so important when it comes to just doing more than one sport growing up. Especially a team sport. I am a team sport girl. So, you know, that just, it taught me so many things about having to rely on you and my own self-accountability. But, you know, time management skills, I think I kind of mastered that in, you know, my personal life and my business, you know, and then honestly, it's just like when I was coaching, I was looking at those athletes being like, okay, did you play like other sports in high school? More so just to see like, can you handle the difference between like your IQ with volleyball, maybe your IQ in softball, you like, you know, like how can you handle the transition between the two, the balance of everything? It's just,
how emotionally aware are you?
Yeah,
Right. Like,
you know?
that makes a lot of sense. Like how, the psychological aspects of it, I think is huge, especially to in your, like from where you're standing, how coachable an athlete is, because I think that's what maybe determines it is how emotionally aware they are.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, if they're freaking out all the time and then you tell them, hey man, just relax. And then they keep doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Whereas someone, because quite frankly, I think that's the definition of intelligence is that how fast you could pick something up as soon as, you fell at it, like you said. It's kind of like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you think for you translated the most with playing sports as a kid to jiu-jitsu? Like your biggest draw, your trump card.
Let's think. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, as much as like individualized jiu-jitsu is, you're still playing a dance with somebody else, right? So I've always done something where like my catcher had to catch me. I was facing a pitcher. They're all intertwined, I think. Yeah. But honestly, it's the fail part. I think, I know I've said it before, but like I learned how to fail, and then in jiu-jitsu you fail. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer that you wanted, but it's just like, it
is, because that means if you say it and that's your first thing to go to, that means like it's really like what you go to, right? It's
doesn't
like
mean
your
I
first
like it
thing.
either. I'm not saying I'm a good. I'm kind of a sore loser. Don't get me wrong, but like, but it's just what you have to do. You know, every day in life you somehow have to like learn from something. But I don't know. Failing is not necessarily even a negative thing either. It's just something that like you have to do to just continue to grow.
Say in jiu-jitsu, when you have like a shitty day, like everyone else does.
Yesterday, got it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Just
every
now, how do you go home and process that? Like, and you know what's funny? I know what you mean by like being a sore loser, because I think it's in everyone's head. Whether it's a sore loser as in like you're your harshest critic, because I think that's all that means.
Yeah,
is that's what it means, being like a sore loser to yourself, right? You're your harshest critic. You want to do better, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how do you process it? Like, do you like right before bed, do you have some ritual, like saying it to your subconscious, like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You idiot. Stupid.
Yeah.
Honestly,
like take notes. I don't know,
For me, I think I believe in short-term memory. Like I remember the things that I want to get better at. There's things that I like almost like concede to because it's more comfortable for me. So like when in doubt, I'm going to sit. I'm always like, when in doubt, sit it out. No, I don't want to freaking get to my butt. So like there's definitely things that like in my head, I'm like, you did that today. You fell into like being comfortable today. And that's what I get mad at. I gave that person the same role. Like that's the stuff that I get mad at myself for. Sometimes I cry, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I just get so frustrated. I cry in my car. And then after that, I maybe I vent to Will for a second, but I really just try to let it go. I remember what I need to get better at. But at the end of the day, I'm done rolling for the day. So like, can I go back and change anything I did? So no. Yeah. So I don't know. My biggest thing is short-term memory, but remember the things that like but still have the goals that you're trying to get better at,
Right.
I don't know. Like at the end of the day, like, jiu-jitsu, you get the opportunity to do jiu-jitsu basically every day of your life, maybe except Sundays, but like for the most part, you get to do jiu-jitsu 6 times a week. Like, why are you going to hold on to everything that you do wrong?
Exactly.
In like a negative way versus looking at it as like, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to sit to my butt whenever maybe we're in a transition or something. Like I'm going to try to get on top. Like those are like little goals that I have, but
yeah, I think that's a big psychological kind of killer too, is that when we look back and say coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? When you look back on those rounds, it's okay, just as long as I think you can learn from it and then not dwell on it so much. Kind of like what Jocko says, but I'm like, sometimes it's hard to do though, right? It's almost like, fuck, because again, you have such a high standard for yourself. It's like, well, but here we are, right? We're here to learn. And then, and which relates to like injury wise too, because like you said, we can do jiu-jitsu like what, 5-6 days out of the week.
Yeah.
And then on to the next one. Like, I promise you this relates, but then relating to like injury, that's what I always tell myself when I go too ham. That's why I'm more nowadays, and being 39, I'm like, oh, I need to like slow it down, because there's this game that you want to play with people. Sometimes it's like a comparison game. It's almost like, wait, he's getting better. Am I getting better? Right? Like, and then you want to ramp it up.
Yeah.
And you want like what is it? Like a fucking car crash every fucking time you go with someone. But and you think that's the way to go. But
no,
it's not. I got to remind myself, like, if I tear like an ACL, I'm out for 6 months. Like, and then if I don't, I'll roll the next day. Then I'll roll 10,000 more times after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of relating to that, I guess. You, before I forget, like you and Nora are just, like Yeah. Shout out, Dora.
I know, honestly.
Yeah. Podcast alumni. But yeah, like you guys are just like, look, I've rolled with girls before, and I think in a different way, Nora's kind of different. As far as like, she's still a tough, like gritty, kind of person.
Yeah, she's scary.
I mean, yeah.
Then she like kills you with a smile on her face, but
Jesus Christ.
oh my God, she's terrifying. But she makes me better every freaking day. It's
Exactly.
amazing.
It's a weird thing because like, so I'll go with her and then we'll move a lot and we'll get her a lot of repetitions within that round. And then when she decides to like turn it up, I know when that is because it's like, I just feel like, it's one of those things where I'm sitting in my car. I'm just like, like I lost all my money in blackjack or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
Someone stole your wallet? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know. She's such a turd.
Yeah,
In the
for
best
you-
way possible, of course. But
Yeah. I
Oh
mean,
my
for
God.
you seem to have like this kind of, your game to me at least, with the times that we rolled, you seem to have this like pressure tight lid kind of game to you. Like
Yeah.
you don't like to give any space.
No.
No,
I don't
and
want
I'm
you to
like,
have
dude, I'm like
space.
suffocating over here. You're like,
Yes.
yeah. And would you say that's pretty accurate? Can you talk a little bit about your style in jiu-jitsu and why you do it?
Yeah, I like to think if I can smother you and make you as uncomfortable as possible, then one, you're going to do anything you can to get out of it. But if I can break you before you do that, then I'm already winning the match. I definitely want to be able to kind of mentally get into people's heads about one, pace. I don't try to ever stop. I hate stalling. That's not something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to throw up a submission as often as I possibly can,
Yeah.
even if it's not going to hit,
Right.
but you're thinking about it. So I kind of like the psychological game that I can play with jiu-jitsu because, not to revert back to softball, but it's my background. In softball, you have to throw a sequence of pitches, right? Oh, well, this person was late on a fastball, so I'm not going to throw him a changeup now. Change of speeds,
I like
right?
that, yep.
So it's just a chess game. It's a psychological battle that like makes you think, okay, I've beat you 2 or 3 times with this particular thing. Now you're expecting it, so let's see if we can do this. So I try to make you as uncomfortable as possible, put a good pace on you. Preferably get you in an armbar or triangle. I do love those and hit them from anywhere.
I know the
is my
triangle
goal.
for sure because I've gotten in that spot and it's not good.
If I can lock one, then I feel pretty confident that I can finish it, but I don't know.
Is that like your go-to?
Yeah,
you like those?
yeah, I would
What is it?
definitely say.
The triangle for sure. And what was the other one?
Armbar.
Yeah.
Somehow,
What kind of armbar? Like, is it just the regular kind of when you put your leg on?
honestly
over the head?
anything. If I can just
Any
get
armbar.
if I can get shoulder separation, then I think I
Okay.
can figure something out. I can hold on like a little monkey,
I
and
see.
you
Yeah,
know what I
right,
mean.
right.
I don't know. I try to hit it from different ways because I think jiu-jitsu is so cool because you get to express yourself in a way,
True.
and you don't have to do as much as we have the basics, we have the techniques. You can also make it your own. Like
Yes.
that's why there's so many moves being created in jiu-jitsu. You hit something from this way and you're like, oh wait, that felt really good. And then something new happens. So I don't know. I try to see if there's separation, if there's an arm, arm and head together, I try to hit something from anywhere.
I'm so glad you brought that up because with jiu-jitsu, especially jiu-jitsu, and with just like what we do, just MMA in general and Muay Thai, whatever, it's an expression of yourself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like Chris, Trauma, shout out Trauma. He can teach you how to fight, or any one of your coaches, Jerry, and then you just make it your own. And I think it's such a beautiful thing because you're right. I think it's the most beautiful thing about the sport. Otherwise, I think it kind of takes my excitement out of it if everyone were just like robots and rolled
yeah.
the same way,
Yeah.
right? Depending on your body type, depending on not even just your body type. I think it just depends on the person you are. Like the thing that the Joe Rogan thing that he was saying about John Jones about it's like that's what makes him him.
Yeah.
Right. Like they were talking about like his cocaine addictions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's probably what makes him a good fighter.
Probably.
Like a wild man. I mean,
Little
not to say
TikTok.
that not to say that we should go
We're
around
not
like,
encouraging cocaine use, people. We're not
Exactly.
encouraging it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's probably like the wild. He was saying it, like the wild guy he is. That's how he expresses himself in there. So that's the beautiful aspect of it,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's kind of like, oh, he's just out there, like kind of doing his thing.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel every time. It's talking about your game, like the pressure kind of game. For me, I'm like the flowy type, but then nowadays I'm trying to close the lid like a jar, kind of like a pressure thing. But yeah, I think it's just fascinating. So we'll go into pans. Like, were you surprised at all how well you did in those competitions? Did you surprise yourself, or were you like, you know what? I got another question after that, actually. But yeah, did you kind of surprise yourself when you went in there, or were you like, nah, I got this shit? Like, and be honest, were you like determined? Were you like, nah, no one's beating me today?
Yeah, I don't know. I like think I saw who I was going with, and I was like, I don't know if I can cuss on here, but I was like,
Yeah,
nah, I'm the baddest motherfucker. Like, there's nobody that's gonna be able to like touch me today. Like, I felt like I made weight good, I did everything good. I had my family there. I had some people that I haven't seen in years were there. So it was just like, I don't know. I was like who's gonna beat me? Like, you're the only person that I like can beat me. She ain't here, so it doesn't matter, Nor is that person that I was talking about.
Oh, Jesus.
But you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I think I was talking to my parents about this. It's like I've been in situations with softball that if you lose this, or if you throw this pitch down the middle, or if you're in this type of situation, your career's done. So I think I've been in those high pressure moments where it's like, you better figure it out. Or
you mean like all or nothing?
Yeah, basically. Wow. You know what I mean? Like
is a lot of
playing for championships, playing for just positions in general, playing for a scholarship. I feel like all of that allowed me to get into a competition mode where I'm like, one, thank God I don't have to play for a scholarship anymore.
That's
you know what I mean?
Scary thing. But now that you put it that way, fuck the championships. Like a scholarship? You mean I'm getting like some sort of ride?
Yeah, right? So it's just like you have something that's built onto it that is added onto this moment where you're about to pitch a ball or you're about to hit something. Versus jiu-jitsu, I'm like, okay, cool, like whatever. Like I'm still gonna give it my all. I'm not gonna let this girl beat me, but it's okay because like I know I'm still gonna be loved regardless of if I win or lose. So I think it's like a different mindset when I go in, where like I'm not going to be very nice. I don't find myself to be a very nice jiu-jitsu practitioner, but we'll figure it out as we go. And again, any position that like I get myself into, I just have so much confidence of finding a way to get either to finish it or to get out of it because of what we do every day at the gym. Exactly. So it's just like, I just know what we do at Syndicate is different. And that almost gives me my own confidence because it's like, man, these girls don't have the stamina that I have because of what we do. They don't have the coaches that I have. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like, I'm a big believer in your preparation and confidence in your preparation because I could do jiu-jitsu every day of my life. And as long as I'm doing what I think in my heart is the right for my preparation, the medals are great, but like, it's the confidence in my preparation that's going to actually come into you'll be able to see that during the competition itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you literally fight the way you do, how you train. I mean, that's you, right?
Yeah.
Like if all of a sudden competition comes up, you might, I don't know. I mean, if you're a serious competitor, you might have watched some footage or something and changed something up. But for the most part, you're going to roll how you roll, like on a daily basis. Like you're not just going to be like, okay, I'm going to change my game up real quick because, this girl's like something different. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like.
You can't though. You can't, you know what I mean? I think they always say like, it's a cliche thing. You practice how you play. But I've always been told like your practice has to be harder than the game, So it's just like, okay, well, if you kick, get your own ass kicked every day at practice, well, don't worry. It's okay. It sucks right now, but whenever you play your game, it's going to be easy. And that's, again, I'm not saying the competitions that I've been in have been easy and the people that I face have been easy. that's not it at all. But I've just already died. So, you know what I mean? Right. I died in practice. Yeah. So now it's like, okay, well, nothing's going to be as hard as that practice that we just went through. This is where it's going to like all come to fruition and I'm just going to be able to kind of do my thing. Yeah. And it's always, positive whenever I don't have to face the same people that you face every day. Cause that's when it gets hard too.
Absolutely.
We roll every day of our lives together and that's when it's like, okay, finally someone else.
Yeah. That's true. Someone, let alone from like another gym.
Yeah.
So it almost gives you the rights to
I get to do whatever I want now. Like, let's go.
Yeah, there's no niceties over here.
No. And
business.
it's not like I'm trying to be a turd.
Yeah.
But, I love you, but screw you,
Yeah. When the bell rings or when the ref says go, how is it like for you? Does the nervousness and all that, or if you're even nervous, does that go away, or do you just go into flow state? Like, how's, after you shake hands with
Dap
someone
up.
and dap up, like, how is that for you? Does everything go away and you're just in a flow state, or are you like thinking it out first, like you're overthinking shit?
No, I think I kind of turn my brain off. Because again, like you do something every day, it almost becomes just like a natural habit to you. So as soon as like the refs like go, you dap hands, whatever you do, it's I like to put pressure. So I'm trying to immediately engage, somehow see what you're gonna do, and then just try to maybe counter or just be the aggressor. It just depends, what she's trying to do too. But no, as soon as we dap hands, we're not doing anything other than try to kill each other, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got 6 minutes on the clock. I'm trying to like make this as quick as possible, because in my head, I'm like, okay, I have this match, but guess what? I have 4 other matches that I have. So if I can shorten this one up, everybody else is going to be tired. So let's just go. I'm done playing. I don't like the, like patty cake stuff. I don't like that. But let's immediately try to hit heads kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's actually a great point. If you have like 4 other people ahead of you, that's a great strategy to have, because I would have figured that you'd kind of like want to pace yourself a little bit, right? Knowing that there's 4 other, that's the other train of thought, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like knowing that you have 4 other people, and maybe that might not be like the best optimal way to do a match, because that's when people start stalling.
Yeah.
I think they're like, okay, well, I'm in a good position, so I'll just kind of chill over here. And I think that's part of the thought process. It's almost like, well, I got like 3 other motherfuckers that I got.
Yeah, no doubt. And don't get me wrong, like I remember in Pans, I was in Mount, and we had probably like maybe 3 minutes to go. And the girl was super strong, so she was doing a great job of like not letting me get into something. But I was like, okay, I'm ahead in points. If she sweeps me, I don't really give a crap. She's not gonna submit me. She's not gonna win. So I was like, all right, here we go. And then I like probably pushed the pace a little bit too much. Cause I kept hearing Jerry in my head, like position over submission. But again, I was like, well, I'm okay to risk this right now because I have like 2 minutes left and I'm up by 7. Like I'm okay, Right. So, but then I went for, I think I went for a triangle, but finished an arm bar. And it was just like, yeah, I feel way better than doing that. I don't know. Submissions are what I would rather go for versus just like points and, advantages and things like that. Like it's, maybe that's too aggressive. Maybe I'll learn one day. I just feel like I'm still young in my journey, but like, it's like, no, if I can get done in 3 minutes versus 6, that's what I want to do. Because, for Worlds, I got my submissions that I wanted, and I had like 2 matches versus one of the girls 1 match. And I already had 2 matches and I finished it fairly quick. And she still was in her first match. So I had so much time to recover. I had so much time to kind of just watch her too.
I was going to say, is that a good thing to finish that quickly?
I mean, I don't know.
For you. Right.
For me, I was chill.
Like,
I was happy about it. But I got probably like 10, 15 minutes to recover versus I think she only had maybe like 6 or 7. And that makes a big difference for me. I'm trying to get my hands back, trying to get my heart rate down. So I was pumped about it. And then, I get back and she wanted to wrestle. And I was just like, you're much bigger than me. I'm not gonna be able to just like, wrestle you the way I want. Eventually we kind of figured some stuff out, but like, I don't know. I think I just try to throw up as many submissions and make you as annoyed with me as possible. And we just figure it out from there.
That would be fucking annoying.
I know.
Get the fuck off.
I know. You're a pest. You're a, like, what do they call it? They say like Nora and I are like the enforcers. So that's for sure. That's what I want to do.
That's for fucking sure.
That's what I want to do.
No disagreement on that one. Yeah, I was just watching your last match, and I believe it was Worlds. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was, you took the back, and then you actually, I think you got her with a head and arm. Is that right? You did get her with a head and arm.
Yeah, that was Pans.
That was Pans?
Yeah, I got to pick her up.
It was like, yeah, exactly. You got to pick her up. And honestly, I thought you were going to like powerbomb her like fucking, Kevin Nash. But I was like, oh man.
I've been watching a lot of WWE and WWF lately, so I should have.
Yeah. And that was a pretty good transition. I actually thought that when you had her back, because you had the full triangle on her back, I think too. When I was watching that, I was like, oh damn, she just has the back, and then I think she was able to find a way out, but then that's all she wrote from there. So
Yeah.
that was a crazy. What would you say is your favorite time, or can you bring me back to like a certain match or a certain sequence in maybe Pans or Worlds that you enjoyed the most, or that was the most intense for you?
I think
where you're like, oh shit, or that was good,
Yeah, I think for honestly, well, if I can kind of do two, but like for Pans, it was the girl, like she was she like was a little bit bigger than me, and like when we engaged, I was like, oh, I got this. Like I just like immediately knew in my heart, but then I dumped her, and then
Why do you think that is? That's a good before you go any further, why do you think that? Why do you think you say you got this? Is it because her grip strength, or is it because like, oh, she ain't that strong? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think like you can feel like how maybe aggressive someone is by how they engage, right? So whenever we engaged, I was like, one, I know I'm more aggressive than you. And then I also think it gives me a little bit of like, okay, cool. It doesn't matter if I ever get in a bad position. I'm way stronger. I'm going to like find my technique to get out of it. She's not gonna be able to hold me down. But like, like you engage with Nora, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like you can feel how she's almost like a brick wall versus this girl. I was like, you're not a brick wall. I'm going to run through that, like I'm okay with it. So I dumped her, and then I got to her back on that. And then eventually I got her in a head and arm, but I also kind of suffocated her too. So I was pumped on that.
I'm sure you were.
I was pumped.
You're sick. You're sick.
But no, my, for Pans, I actually, or not for Pans, for Worlds, it was like my third match, I think, or fourth match in my, help me, in my open division.
Okay, yeah.
The girl was much bigger than me. Not necessarily heavy, but she was just tall. She was probably like 6'1". She was definitely a longer girl. And I watched her match before, and she wanted to hop guard and just kind of smother you. And I was like, okay, so whatever. So I somehow got to her back. I dumped her forward, and then we kind of got into transition, and then she was trying to pass. And then I somehow grabbed her arm from my guard. Was it guard? I can't remember, but I threw up an arm bar on her, and I got a quick tap, and I was like, oh shit, that was kind of sick.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it was just a quick, just like the arm bar that's across their face, like one around here and the other leg around her face, and just tried to rip it as fast as possible.
What was the sequence to that? How'd you get it? Where'd you get it from?
I think she was in my guard. She was trying to get out of it and trying to pass. And then I just opened up, grabbed her arm, and just threw a leg across her face. And
just like that.
Yeah. And then, sorry, I may have two actually. So then my other match, I like snapped the girl down, got her. I tried to get a Marcellatine on her.
Okay. Yep.
But she defended it, and then I caught her in the triangle. But I actually, I was going for the Kimura, thought she tapped, let go, but she said she didn't tap. So then I grabbed it again, but I may have accidentally broke her arm doing that. So that was I'm very sorry about that, but it was super sick though.
Right. Besides that,
I hope she's okay. Everything's fine. But she'll be sick.
Yeah, she probably gained more resilience anyway.
She's tougher now.
Yeah, right.
Learn
exactly.
To tap, man.
That arm's tougher too.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah. So the biggest difference, a lot of people, they do jiu-jitsu like as a hobbyist, and then in competition. What advice would you give for someone maybe competing and they don't know what to expect? What do you think? Like, take me through, I don't know, maybe is it the emotions? Is it the nervousness, the anxiety of competition? What's the biggest difference? And what changes in your game between just rolling with your friends at the gym?
Yeah.
This might be like a general obvious question, but then, rolling with your friends at the gym and then rolling in competition. What's the mindset like? Well,
I think a lot of people get stuck in the anxiety, the nervousness, and they play that into something that's negative. When I think that like nervousness and anxiety doesn't always have to be a negative thing. It could be positive, but you can use it towards something like, okay, cool. Like I'm so nervous, my stomach hurts. But that's okay. Like I'm supposed to be nervous. I would be, maybe numb if I like didn't think that I was supposed to be, feeling this type of way. But I think it's the hesitancy is the difference between competition and like maybe just rolling with your friends, right? So rolling with your friends, you're allowed to like kind of mess up. You're allowed to do these things. Maybe you're maybe not. Maybe you're just on you're on it. But then when you get into competition, an ounce of hesitancy is what's probably going to keep you from maybe getting the choke or maybe finishing something or maybe getting taken down, you know? So it's just like, how do you bridge the gap between both of these, you know, practice and the actual competition? Well, it's making them almost the same thing. Having those days where you walk in where you're like, okay, today it's competition day. I'm going to, everyone I go with is going to be, you know, killer. And I'm going to try to, in my head, maybe I try to keep points. Maybe I put some type of pressure on myself. But you have to be able to feel that pressure before you go into a competition. Because if you go into a competition, you don't even know what it's like. Okay, I don't know what it's like to win or lose because, you know, when I go in jiu-jitsu, because I'm a hobbyist, we kind of just roll. And if I tap, cool. If I don't, cool too. But do you ever go into jiu-jitsu and think, okay, I got 5 minutes on the clock today. What do the points look like in my head, right. You know, or how many submissions, you know, like you have to have that balance between today, it's the day, I'm the freaking hammer today. And then obviously you have to balance it out with sometimes you got to be the nail. But I think you have to bridge the gap between practice and competition by practicing like you are competing.
Yeah.
And then taking away that hesitancy. Because that's what, like, you know, when I think about when you first start and you're about to engage and you're, you know, have you ever wrestled before in a day in your life? No. Well, why are you doing it today? You know what I mean? It's just like you have to bridge that gap between, okay, what's your game plan? Have you ever practiced your game plan? Well, you never practice the way that you're about to start your game plan. So why would that be your game plan? You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, like you have to have those hard practices. And I'm telling you, like the hard practice that we have literally just oozes confidence for me because it's like, there's nothing that I'm going to do in a competition that I haven't done before, you know? So it's just.
And how hard you're going, it's like, there is no way, like probably psychologically, like there is no way in your hearts of hearts that anyone's going like this, right? Like when you're getting ready for a competition, like there's a lot of unbelievable practitioners
of course. And I'm not trying to take anything away from those people, but I'm just like I was joking with like Nora. So on Fridays we have, you know, Fight for Your Life Fridays where you basically warm up a little bit, but for the hour and a half you are rolling. So we probably get in 12 rolls. While I was cracking up, I was like, okay, my first roll, I'm dead. Roll number 2, I got to roll with Cody Steele. Yep. He doesn't stop moving. It's the easiest roll of his life, you know what I mean? But it's the hardest roll of yours. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm about to throw up. And this is the second roll. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have 10 more rolls to go. Then I roll with Nora. She hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh my God, you know? And it's just like, that's the third roll. And I'm already like mentally in my head, like, how are you going to finish this? Like, it's going to be hard. You're going to take a break. And you're like, no, I can't freaking take a break. Yeah. That's exactly what I want to do. Right. Why would I want to take a break? Like, even if it's just someone who like we flow with, we do something with, like, I can't freaking take a break because that's what I want to do, you know? So it's just like having to fight through, like, once you find like your red line and you push through that red line, I think competition just becomes easy. And I get to that red line a lot when it comes to Fight for Your Life Fridays, you know? Sure.
Even speaking of the Fridays, even just the regular classes that Jerry holds, you know, he does this little snarky thing, and it's so funny, and I enjoy the hell out of it, and it makes us better, quite frankly, is that he'll joke around and be like, you know, yeah, don't sit out rounds, you know, or you're like a little bitch or something. But you know he fucking means it. I mean, it's just kind of like, you know, he'll like take a jab in a joking kind of way, but then it makes you feel a certain way inside because sometimes I'll play it off like I'm going to like the restroom, but now it's so instilled in me. When I'm on my way there, I'm like, nah, I can't. Like it's just in my brain now, you know? It's not even trying to prove even Jerry or anyone else. It's almost like, nah, I can't like go back on my work. Like I'm a part of this shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, that's my coach. I follow my coach. He's my leader. Like whatever he says, whatever you know, exactly. Like it's those people who, you know, are like almost bought into everything that they say. They're like, oh crap. Yeah. We can't sit out, you know?
Yeah. I have a lot of pride in that. As far as not like pride as in, you know, like pride in the way that like Jerry teaches it. And I've told him this before, like it's one of his best traits as a coach. It's almost like, damn, you follow the culture, you're going to get really good. And it's battle tested because I've been to other gyms. dude, again, like I'm not, trying to be cocky. It's not a gloat, but
No, yeah.
I'm going, even if it's not like the greatest game that I have, I can go and go and go just because of that principle and all the rounds that we've been doing that's
Yeah.
instilled in you. Some gyms, they literally go 3 or 4 rounds and then that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Like it's an hour class and then like 40 minutes of it is like drilling. Okay, you got to do this.
Which
you know
is
what I
like,
mean?
which is like very like much so like valid. Do that, but
Yeah.
like you just learned something and you're only gonna do 3 rolls. You think you're gonna learn or try to replicate what you did for those 40 minutes in the 3 rounds? Like you gotta fail doing it too.
Yeah.
You know.
And,
But
and look, and the drilling, there's levels to drilling too.
oh yeah,
Because if you're doing a drill and it's like nice and slow and unrealistic, I don't even call that drilling.
No.
Because it's like I can distinguish this from doing like stand up like in Muay Thai and stuff like that, and from doing Muay Thai from years in San Diego, is that when that's the like the different paradoxes between jiu-jitsu and stand up from what I notice. Like long story short, when you're striking, you don't spar as many times because I think it's like head trauma. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll take that one.
And
yeah.
like you could get hurt probably easier.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu, you could just tap, right? But you drill like a motherfucker. Like when you're hitting pads, it's like going rounds. It's nonstop,
Yeah.
right? And then even when you're drilling with your partner, you're going, you're like a menace.
yeah,
But yeah, that's like my point is that in jiu-jitsu, when you're drilling, and I'm very guilty of this too, don't get me wrong. Like sometimes I'm just fucking tired.
yeah,
But,
yeah. I hear you.
you know, like it has to be drilling with intention and it has to be somewhat, or it has to be intense, right? Like it has to be a realistic drill,
Yeah.
not just like put your leg around here. Maybe like the first 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, to
and
feel
then,
it, yeah.
to fill it out.
Yeah.
But then you really got to go and they really got to be like getting out of it, like
Yeah.
to really feel that, like a live drill.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very interesting. Yeah. I'm very, very lucky. And I'm sure you feel the same way that we ran into that gym,
Oh, yeah.
with the head, Jerry and Shane. And yeah, it's been a game changer for me for sure. So what's your next moves as far as like, are you trying to do it like Nora and just like be a competitive animal, try to travel the world and make something of that? Like, it looks like that's where you're headed. And it looks with your athleticism, it's funny because I almost want to compare you to Nora, but I can't. Because they're two distinguished different styles. And I know you guys are at certain levels of your game.
Yeah, of
and you
course.
guys are two different people.
Yeah.
Genetically wise and all that stuff. But I see it in you, quite frankly, right? Like what we've talked about is that you come from an athletic background, you're strong as shit, and you're learning from one of the best, right? What are you planning to do with that from here on out? Like, are you planning to take it like more on a serious note, or do you have other things going on? Like what's next?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to compete more. I want to continue to compete. I have I've talked to my dad about it, and it's just like, if there's a competition close to him, I want to be able to continue to compete in front of my family. That's super important to me. And then, yeah, I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know where jiu-jitsu takes me, but I'm really happy with where we've gone so far. And I also, as you know, like I'm a massage therapist too. So working with athletes, it almost continues to allow us to have that relatability factor, because I do predominantly work with MMA fighters, boxers. So like just continuing to learn the body through my own personal journey of jiu-jitsu and understanding like, oh, I know why you're hurting. You inverted wrong, and that's why you have a stinger in your neck.
Oh,
and I know that
interesting.
because
That's great.
I have it too,
Yeah.
So
Sure.
just continuing to like learn. That's my biggest thing. I don't know, wherever it takes me, I'm pumped for, especially because, I know I want to get my black belt under Jerry and Shane. Like that's just a period. It's a statement. You know what I mean? So, wherever it takes me from there, I'm pumped for.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, I've gotten to do tournaments and, hopefully there's more like local tournaments that I can go to that are just easy to get to. But if I have to travel, I know I have people behind me that'll help me do that too. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just super fortunate, man. It's so cool.
For sure. I mean, yeah, and you are around that. That's a good mention, because you are around like, the fighting environment, obviously. And what's funny, What's funny is that who you hang out with, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
That's like a common general principle.
Like, show me
in
your
life.
friends, I'll show you my future or something like that.
Yeah, that we can name it. My favorite one is that if you hang out with 5 dumbasses, you're gonna be the 6th.
Yeah,
like that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny because even with this podcast, right, it was supposed to be like a psychological self-development kind of thing, and then which obviously I plan to have fighters on here.
Yeah.
But then you kind of start seeing the kind of like what do you call it? Like the connections, right? I mean, fighters and jiu-jitsu athletes, they just have the same traits. It's consistency, it's discipline, it's that grit. Like it's failing, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. So what better way is it to do a quote unquote self-development podcast than to have fucking athletes on here that walk the walk, you know, like,
literally.
which is fucking crazy. So we're almost landing the plane and at the finish line, but what advice would you give, particularly for like a woman's athlete, since you did coach in particular, that a women's softball, if they want to get into like jiu-jitsu or quite frankly just a primitive sport like MMA or anything, since you're always around it and you're experienced and you're always around high level athletes, not just any regular athletes. I mean, you're around like the top of cream of the crop.
Yeah. Something that I think holds a lot of women back that I've noticed is like it's intimidating, right? You have to get over the fact that it is going to be intimidating, and that's I think a lot of women also think like, oh, I don't want to go with a guy,
Right?
Specifically jiu-jitsu wise, because since that's kind of my background, it's just like, oh, I don't want to go with a guy, and it's just like, we actually had a women's class at Syndicate, 9 a.m. every Saturday with Sheena Van
Great turnout. It was a great turnout. She knows the shit.
Oh my God, Sheena's
she knows her
amazing.
shit.
It warmed my heart so much because it was like, okay, that's the women taking their first step into one, getting out of your comfort zone, because I think like sitting on your butt and like learning how to do a technical get up for us, that's super simple.
Yeah.
But for the a normal person walking in, it's hard, So I think you got
is hard. Honestly.
Breathing during jiu-jitsu is hard, right? So it's just like getting over, you have to, push yourself to that hump. And then once you meet Jerry, once you meet Sheena, once you meet, honestly, anybody at our gym, I just feel way more confident that you're going to feel, okay, I may feel stupid, but I know that I'm going to get better. But, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit morbid, but like, when it comes to being a woman, who's probably going to attack me more, if I got attacked, who's going to attack me? Probably a dude.
Yep.
In my head, I'm like, let's go, I'll freaking kill you anyways. But, but I also have that confidence where I'm like, I can handle myself,
sure.
right? But I didn't have that until I got to this gym where, you're gonna find a way to be confident in yourself and be confident in protecting yourself, your family, your friends. But you got to just get over the fact that it's gonna be uncomfortable and it's gonna be intimidating. Because I was uncomfortable and I was intimidated. Again, it was just like, why is this guy like sitting on top of me? But it's like, no, I freaking know how to get out of it now. And it's just like, I don't know, you put yourself in those positions where like maybe you got attacked or something, or you have that confidence of being like, okay, it's never going to happen to me again, or it's never going to happen to me, period.
Exactly. Especially if it's some real life stuff. Like Joe Rogan was saying to, I think it was Lex Friedman, well, how do you test like martial arts? Well, you test it with other killers, right? Like you test it with people that know how to do jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But my other thing is that, do you think it's valid of women to think that way though? Right? Because that's its own podcast within itself. Because I have heard situations, personally, honestly, and there's just some fucking creepy dudes out there. Like as far as and when I hear that, I'm like, damn, really, dude? Like so that's why I ask. It's like being in a woman's position, and quite frankly, more vulnerable. Like, guys are fucking strong and they're intimidating. And then if you don't know as a woman martial arts and you're like 90, 100 pounds, it's like, what would you say to someone, to try to convince them if they were in that like,
oh yeah, because I think too, like, I remember like one of the first few times that we did jiu-jitsu, like, a guy was doing a Kimura on me, but he was sitting on my head, and I was like, oh, this is weird, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
I literally have his balls on my head, right? You know what I mean? So it's very like, it's just, it could be extremely intimidating and very uncomfortable to be that close to a human.
Right.
One, just a human in general, but two, like a dude that you don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so, I don't know, we're just so freaking fortunate to be in a place where I know I've had some encounters that have been really weird, and I've told Jerry about them, and he immediately takes care of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's so nice knowing like and I feel like for me, like I understand what jiu-jitsu is, and I understand what's right and what's wrong when it comes to jiu-jitsu. There's no really gray line when it's like, oh, I think that was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've told Jerry like, hey, like this kind of happened to me. I don't really know how I feel about it, because I don't think it was a bad intention, but it doesn't matter. He went and he handled that situation for me. And I think it's so empowering knowing that I have a male coach that I know will have my back 1,000% and has had other people's back too. Because it is, like, it's just like as a woman, like, it's like, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know if I can say it. I don't know. Like, I'm embarrassed about it.
Yep.
And for me, I know for me and some of the other girls that kind of, take a welcoming, form to jiu-jitsu with the coaches. It's like, hey, if you ever need anything, if something ever weird happens to you, you tell me immediately.
Yeah,
I won't even tell Jerry your name if you don't want me to. But having that conversation about like, hey, if something ever weird happens, you tell me. I won't ask questions. I won't doubt you. You have to tell me. But having that safe place, I think that's what Syndicate does. And because like I said, I've had some weird things happen, and I'm like, what the frick just happened? And I've told Jerry, and he immediately handled it. And it was just like knowing in my heart, like, okay, I know it's right. I know it's wrong. That felt wrong. I told Jerry, and he immediately handled it. Okay. Safe space again. It's just like,
it's huge.
And that's what I swear, like Syndicate's going to give you a safe space. And that's what it's given me. And also it's just like, I'm so happy that I have a platform where I get to be, if a girl comes up to me, I'm going to be able to handle it myself as well. So I'm going to tell Jerry, but I'm going to also handle it, because you're not going to feel comfortable doing whatever you're doing to the females, because I'm going to kick your ass.
It's
like respectfully, like I will be that bully if I have to, when it comes to protecting my girls.
You greenlight them. Yeah.
Absolutely, you're greenlit, period. Yeah. And we've greenlit people just because they've been weird.
Yeah.
It's not like we just don't like you type of thing. It's like, no, you did something wrong to that girl, and you're gonna remember, and I'm gonna make you remember that you're not gonna ever do that to her again.
Yeah, and I bring that up not to scare women out of martial arts, but it does happen, right? Like it does happen, and when it does, I mean, it's pretty traumatic, and just for, I'm sure, putting myself in their position, it's just kind of like, you never want that kind of stuff to happen. So, but
you have to be realistic, though, unfortunately. But like I said,
for the most part, everyone's nice over there. Everyone's disciplined. It's a welcoming family, especially at Syndicate. We both go over there and train. As we know, we have the top of the line, top notch coaches over there that will take care of you and that have your back.
Absolutely. And then it's just like, what else do you want? It's a gym, and that's how they're making you feel. Like, that's why, it's, I not only train there, but I work there.
Yep.
John's my boss. So it's just like, I've told him a while back, like, I don't have to coach softball anymore, because I found something that I get to be passionate about every day, and I get to learn from and grow. But Syndicate's given me everything, it's given me such a cool platform, with not only as a massage therapist, but a jiu-jitsu practitioner. And also, I just get to help with the pro team a bit, so it's just like, I don't know. Syndicate's just been so at home for me. And then it's been at home for me when I'm not technically even home. Being from Louisiana, it's just like,
right.
Thousands of miles away.
It's the closest to home.
Yeah. And it's nice, because even my parents are like, you're good, and like my parents having peace for me, and myself having peace, and Will and I being together at a place that we call home. Like, it's like, what's better than that,
Yeah, perfect. Well, this is why I do the podcast. There's a lot of wisdom in this one as far as competition, just life in general, that people can take with them. Exactly why I wanted to have you on. And thank you for your time, Emily.
Oh,
I appreciate you.
I had a great time. Thank you.
Let's go.